Veg Side Podcast is a proud member of the Veg Side Media Collective.
This week's episode is sponsored by you, the listener, and 99-cent patches. This is the last week that you can get 99-cent patches from the Veg Side Media Collective store. So go on there and get some.
I have the vegan handgun one hanging up in my office cubicle. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got the All Cats Are Beautiful one. It's really cute.
Aw. So all you need to do to get the 99-cent patches is use the coupon code SNOWGODS or SNOWMASTERS, because Snow Gods and Snowmasters.
Because it's snowing everywhere.
Get it?
Whichsidecollective.org.
And remember, use promo code SNOWGODS or SNOWMASTERS, whichever one's floating your boat at the moment.
They both work. Use either one.
This is episode 168.
Yeah, we talked with Caitlin. She wrote the travel book, The Essential Vegan Travel Guide.
It has some super awesome tips or tricks in there, even for longtime vegans who have been traveling for a long time. I learned quite a few little Google food tricks in there that I never knew before. I'm really excited to put those to use.
I'm super excited about all of the recipes for like coffee makers inside hotel rooms. That's awesome.
Yeah, I never thought about using a coffee maker in a hotel room before.
So check out this episode, and when you're done, check out her book.
Hey, Jordan, what news and events do we have going on this week?
Well, on January 20th in Argentina, 2 birds were released. And on January 24th in the Czech Republic, there was an open rescue of 4 ducks. We had no shout out for this episode. If you'd like to shout out an episode, just go to whichsidepodcast.com, click on the donate tab. You can get some awesome swag, like a bandana or some patches. And also, you can record your own shout out or have us shout out anything that you want. Whichsidepodcast.com. Want to slingshot this over to Jeremy?
January 27th, 1920. That was when the first meeting of the International Labor Organization happened. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
If you like these little tidbits of history and pull them out of the Slingshot Personal Organizer, go get one yourself. Get your shit organized.
You can get them from your local info shop or an online info shop like AK Press.
I sincerely hope you enjoy this episode.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side? Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
How's your day going so far?
Pretty good. I'm in Barcelona, so my day is almost over. It's 10 p.m. here.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what brought you to Barcelona?
I was living in London for the last 7 years, and I fancied a change of somewhere warmer and sunnier, and came here.
Us damn Americans don't have that necessarily ability.
I am American, believe it or not.
But it's even that idea of, like, we can travel for 1,300 miles and still be in the same country.
Yeah. No, I'm from Illinois originally.
So what made you go over the pond?
Well, I went to London for university, and it was only meant to be for a couple of years, and then I just ended up staying.
So were you born and raised in America?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in central Illinois, in the cornfields.
Because I'm definitely like picking up like at least the dialect of the UK.
I know it's weird, right?
I know, it's awesome.
That's what happens when you live there for a while, I guess. I don't know.
So do you think if you were still based out of the US, you would travel as much as you currently do?
That's a good question. Probably my travel might be different. I might be more within the US, whereas now being in Europe, it's easier to country hop because you can get cheap flights and just go for a couple of hours and you're in a completely different country with different language and everything.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So what's your origin? What brought you to where you are now?
In terms of veganism or...
Yeah, like in terms of veganism and life in general.
So I was brought up in the cornfields, like I said, Central Illinois, brought up vegetarian. And I went vegan about 7 years ago. So I had always seen myself as an ethical vegetarian. You know, I did it for ethical reasons. That's why I stayed vegetarian. And I didn't wear leather or fur or anything like that. And I used products that weren't tested on animals. And I just wasn't really aware of everything that went on in farming and in the egg and dairy industries. And when I became aware of that, I decided I wanted to go vegan. I did put it off for a little bit because I was convinced that you couldn't be vegan and have cake. And then someone gave me a copy of Vegan Cupcakes Take Over the World. Mm-hmm. And I made some cakes from there, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. Why did I think you can't have great vegan cake?
I think it's funny, like, hearing the things that people think that they can't have. Like, it's always different, too. It's like, I can't have cake.
Yeah.
I can't have chocolate anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear that one a lot when people tell me now they want to go vegan. They're like, but I can't give up chocolate. But you don't have to.
No. Mine was crab cakes.
Really? Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't think I've heard that before.
Well, Gardein now has crab.
But you've been able to get vegan crab for a long time. So, so you were raised vegetarian. So were your parents vegetarian?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, they're pretty much vegan now.
I was just gonna say, how did they take over the reaction of you like pushing it further?
At first they were like, "Oh, that's a bit too far, going vegan. Like, that's quite extreme, isn't it? How are you going to get your calcium and iron and all of that?" So I think they saw the veganism as a bit of an extreme thing, and for me, maybe it was a bit of a rebellion. It could go one of two ways, and I went towards pushing it further. But now I think, especially in the last few years, as veganism's become just grown and grown, now it's not seen by them as such an extreme thing, and they've moved in that direction too. So,
were they vegetarian for ethical health reasons?
They were vegetarian for health reasons. So, I suppose to them they didn't fully grasp my ethical reasons for going vegan, at least at first. So it did seem a bit extreme.
You said that they pretty much are now vegan, though?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what was that change? Was that just you kind of explaining everything?
Yeah. And I guess telling them about alternative products as well, because it's the same sort of thing. It was like, oh, well, maybe we could go vegan, but then what about cheese? Or what about yogurt or something? So yeah, it's just a matter of showing them, well, why don't you try this vegan cheese? Why don't you try this one? Oh, actually, that's pretty good. Wait, so why would we buy non-vegan cheese? It doesn't make any sense. And now that we know everything that happens that goes into that, we don't want it anymore.
I wish more people were like that.
Yeah.
You get a lot of people that tried the vegan products and they're like, yeah, this is really good. I could eat this.
To be fair, vegan cheese 10 years ago was shit.
It was.
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
Because I remember the first time I tried vegan cheese, even my mom, who wasn't, because I was, a teenager at the time, she's like, yeah, there's no way I'll be vegan. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to eat this anymore either. I'm always super interested in to talk to kids that were raised vegetarian or vegan, especially being a parent of a vegan kid. Like, I'm super worried about her not being vegan when she's older. So how was like you being raised? Like, did that keep you on the path, or, was it more like you had to find it yourself?
I guess, like I said, they went vegetarian for health reasons, and even as a little kid, I saw the ethical side of things. I remember being quite small and saying to them, like, finding out what leather was and saying, I don't want leather shoes anymore. And they were like, oh, I never really thought about leather. So I don't know, it's sort of like, I guess it was something in me that saw it from a different way. And they were quite, I guess, open to me trying things though. So when I was about 5, I asked them if I could try a bite of a friend's burger. And they said yes, because they didn't want to say no and then have me rebel against that. And I tried it and said, no, I prefer veggie burgers. But I was really mad for a long time after that. Once I understood what meat was, I was like, why did you let me try that? Why would you let me try that?
Yeah, my daughter is 9, and I could never imagine saying yes personally.
Has she ever asked?
No, the only thing she has ever done is she said things like, "Hey, there's this candy bar all my friends like. Is there a vegan version of it I can try?" And so we'll try to find the vegan versions of things for her. But she's never expressed interest in trying something that wasn't vegan.
That seems like a good sign to me.
I would say the only thing that she really expressed was when she was really little, like 3. She really wanted to like go to zoos and like ride horses, but that's long since passed as she's matured past the age of 3. So and actually understands like everything behind those institutions. So
yeah, I have to say, like, apart from that one bite of a burger that I wanted when I was 5, I never had any desire to try any sort of meat. I just never, it just didn't even see it as food, It never would have crossed my mind, oh, I want to try that, because it looked disgusting to me.
So when did you come up with the idea of writing this travel guide?
So I've done a lot of traveling, and when I first went vegan, I'd done a bit of traveling before, and I knew that I really enjoyed travel, but I wasn't sure what it would be like to travel as a vegan, or if it was even possible, and I was quite nervous. And then I sort of discovered along the way lots of different tips and tricks and things that I did that actually made it quite easy. But I've met other new vegans who are worried about traveling. I've met people who've told me that they're vegan, but they're going to stop being vegan while they're traveling. They're going to eat meat, or they're going to eat dairy or something, because they just think it's too hard to be vegan and travel. And I've also, in my travels, I've met backpackers who told me they wanted to go vegan, but felt like they couldn't because they thought, oh, it's just too hard when you're traveling. So I really just wanted to write a guide to show people how easy it is to be vegan and travel, and that it can be quite enjoyable. And there's really no excuse to not be vegan when you're traveling, because it's not hard, and it's actually a really great way to meet people, I think.
I wish I would have had something like this 10 years ago when I went to Peru and I was living off of rice and potatoes. I'm not going to not be vegan, but I guess rice and potatoes is it.
Have you ever had
that
any?
must have been a bit boring.
Yeah, but I mean, I got into shape.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any experiences like that?
Probably my worst vegan travel related experience is on a flight. So I don't know if you guys have had bad experiences on planes, but they always sort of tend to like put in a little, like they'll give you a vegan meal, but then they'll give you a side of butter or something weird.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was on a flight where they just completely forgot my meal. Didn't have it on the plane. And I didn't have any sort of backup. Normally I'd have like some sort of backup bars or something in my bag, and I didn't have anything. I had some potato chips that I'd gotten in the airport to have as a snack on the plane. And it was like a 9-hour flight, so I was just sitting there eating these potato chips, and I found a bar of chocolate in the depths of my bag. I was eating that, and the flight attendant started laughing at me and making fun of me and going, "Oh, that's not a dinner. Oh, is this what vegans eat?" And I was like, "No, this isn't what vegans eat. You bring them food."
This is what we eat when we don't have anything else to eat.
Because of your shitty service.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm usually used to like the flight either not offering a vegan option or forgetting it or something like that. So having to always plan ahead and prepare my own meal.
Yeah, I always have a backup on me, and it's the 2 times that I haven't had a backup that they've forgotten my meal.
or something like throw butter on it or cheese.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently it's because this is what I've read anyway. The reason that you end up with butter and dressings and side things that aren't vegan is because the catering companies prepare the meals and they make sure that everything's vegan. But then once the trays are on the plane, the flight attendants add the butter and the salad dressing and that condiments, and they don't think about what's vegan necessarily. Sometimes they do, but generally they just take whatever is there and put it onto the tray.
That actually makes a lot of sense, and yeah, it actually makes me feel better.
Yeah, no, when I heard that, I was like, oh, so the food is vegan, thank God. Just the condiments are.
Yeah. Yeah, but I've had the issue with like catering companies. They just don't take the 2 seconds it takes to look up vegan on Google, and they assume it's vegetarian and give you a cheese sandwich or something.
Oh God, have you been given a vegan cheese sandwich for a vegan meal then?
Yes. And it makes you feel bad. Typically, it's like in a work related setting or something where they order it special for me, and I'm like, well, I can't eat it. Sorry.
I've been pretty lucky. I don't think I've gotten anything that bad. I just get the fruit salad scenario where they're like, oh, we made you a special vegan dessert, a fruit salad.
So how did you actually go about like writing the guide and putting like all of this massive amount of information down? Because it seems like really unique, because most guides that you see are very specific about like a city or a state or a specific locale.
Yeah, I wanted to write something that could be applied to anywhere, because there are so many guides specifically about cities or regions, but then obviously you might be able to find a guide to New York or to Paris, but what if you're going somewhere like Peru? Then what do you do? So I wanted to write a guide that could be applied to anywhere, and I basically just started writing down all of the thoughts I could think of, different tools that I've used, then grouped them together into different areas. I did most of it when I was working in a job that I didn't really enjoy, hiding in the bathroom.
That's the best place to get, side work done, is when you're getting paid for it to do other work.
Exactly.
One of the things I absolutely loved was there's lots of little tips in there that even being vegan for over 20 years, I just had never even thought of. And I consider myself pretty tech savvy and everything, but like I didn't even know some of like the Google techniques you were talking about.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah. In one of my old jobs, I had to do so much research on Google, just finding really unique things. So I picked up a lot of Google tricks. Yeah.
Yeah, like I didn't know about doing like the related searches and things like that. Would you mind like going into that maybe a little bit?
Yeah. So the related search thing is a really good Google tool. Basically, if you find a useful website and you think, oh, this one's really great, you type in related : and then the URL of the site. It'll give you a bunch of similar sorts of sites. So if you typed in, I don't know, you were looking at vegan New York and you got sort of the vegan, some sort of vegan meetup in New York, and then you put that into related, you probably get other vegan groups and associations in New York or other sites about vegan New York. What else did I have in there about Google? You can limit. Another useful tool, I think, is being able to limit the time frame when the Google search results were published. So I think it's in additional tools, and then you can put in what time the page is published. So within the last week or within the last month. And that way you can limit your results to pages that you know are up to date. So instead of getting
restaurants that are closed down or something.
Yeah, something from like 6 years ago and some of the restaurants are closed, you can find a blog post that was written within the last year or the last month and know that it's up to date.
That shit is so helpful. And like, I'm the idiot that's just, you know, scrolling through the pages being like, fuck, everything is so old. 2011 now.
A good one. I'm glad it's useful. I had to do some really weird Google searches in my old job. So, you know, we're looking at, I don't know, blogs about Ringo Starr from the Beatles, really weird specific things. So I learned a lot about Google.
Being a little bit of an introvert myself, I like to stay in, and I noticed you had a lot of sections about, you know, meeting up and making new friends, making connections. But what I really loved was like just how to make food in your hotel room using a coffee maker. Like, that's genius.
Yeah, I mean, if you like staying in, that's good. It's good. I mean, if you ever end up I figured it's good to have some sort of recipes like that, because what if you end up in a situation where you're in the middle of nowhere and all you can find is a grocery store and there's nothing else that you can eat. Even if you can't find a restaurant, there's still options. You know, you can still make some soup in your coffee maker in your hotel.
And that's just something I never even thought about doing, ever.
There has to be some major trial and error fuck-ups in trying to use a coffee maker to cook.
Yeah, I mean, you should be careful. And some hotels don't appreciate, you know, you leaving dried out soup in their coffee maker.
So was this something that you just, because I'd never even thought about it either. Was this like something you just thought of doing, or was this passed down from on high?
It was passed down from my mom, actually.
Really?
Yeah, she had experimented with a few things. I think the first thing was soup, but she was going to a lot of conferences where they didn't have good vegan catering, and so she was just at a loss of what to do. And I think it just, you know, it was like inspiration that came to her one day. She was just looking at the coffee maker and thought, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I could make something in that.
I have known people to travel with a hot plate or a waffle maker, because they have plenty of uses too.
Well, that's a good idea. You'd have to have quite a big bag, though, I guess.
Yeah, that'd be more for like car traveling or other things like that. But yeah.
Yeah, because you might not want to go through airport security with
With a waffle iron. I'm trying to think of like other heat sources inside of a hotel room that you could use. I guess you could use an iron.
Yeah, the radiator and some.
Yeah. I
maybe
mean,
like a panini. You could make a sandwich. It'd be like a panini pressed with your iron. Maybe. Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say potato in tinfoil, stuck it next to the radiator when you come back. Baked potato.
Yeah, I guess you've got to be careful about setting your food on fire, though.
Yeah.
That's half the fun.
It's not my place, no. Well, what gave you the idea to include like the connection and the meeting new people kind of thing?
Well, I went traveling around Asia and South America for about 4 months. I think it was in 2010, and I was traveling on my own. So I wanted to meet people and I wanted to connect with other people. And I actually ended up meeting a lot of vegans on the road, and I just found it it's a really good way to meet people, or something to connect you with people, because you can, I mean, it depends on whether you want to sit in your hotel room and make soup in the coffee maker, if you feel like going out and meeting people. But I find that if you have something in common with them, like veganism, it's something that really connects you with people, more so than just meeting someone at random in a hostel common room or something. You've got something, a meaningful connection there. So I found it really much more satisfying when I was traveling on my own to go to vegan meetups and to meet other vegans, rather than just meeting other backpackers.
You also talked about doing like couch surfing and things like that in the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I've known about it for a long time, but I've always been afraid of doing it, especially being vegan, and just how that, just how it works, in that situation. So what has your experiences really been doing it?
So I have used Couchsurfing as a way to meet other vegans. So I talk about it in the book that you can actually use it to search for people who've mentioned veganism in their profile. You want to read it because sometimes they might have said something like, "Oh, I hate vegans." So I've had that before. Like, I can't remember where I was, but I looked up and only one person in the city had said something about vegans. And so I went into his profile and was about to send a message and say, "Hey, do you know any vegan places?" And then I read it more thoroughly, and it was like, "I hate vegans." But yeah, I've used it to meet up with people, and I've only used it once to stay with someone because, like you, I was kind of scared of the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up in a sort of emergency situation where I had nowhere to stay. It was a really busy time of year. It was Christmas, and just everywhere seemed to be completely booked, and except for really expensive 5-star hotels. And so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I found a vegetarian on Couchsurfing and messaged her really last minute, like a day or two before. And she said, "Yeah, of course you can stay with me." And it was actually really nice. I had my own room, my own bathroom. We had this huge apartment to ourselves. It was her parents' spare apartment, and it had 4 bedrooms and just 2 of us. And she was really interested in veganism. Like, she wanted to learn more about it. So we went out and bought a bunch of ingredients and cooked a vegan meal together. And I gave her advice about going vegan. And it was a really good experience. I would be nervous to couch surf with non-vegans, because I think it could get into a bit of an awkward scenario. But I know people who've done it. They've just been, they've told them up front in their very first message that they're vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess you can kind of gauge people's reactions.
That was something that we were kind of worried about with Airbnb as well. We tried it for the first time this year, always being worried, but we ran into a similar situation where there were no hotels, everything was booked, and so we found something, but we were always worried that they might like stock the fridge with non-vegan things, and then like you don't want to just like leave the stuff there and don't touch any of their stuff and be like ungrateful.
Yeah.
And so
did they, or did you tell them you were vegan?
We didn't tell them we were vegan, but we lucked out. They stocked the fridge with a whole bunch of stuff, but they had orange juice and things like that. So we just drank the orange juice and called it good.
I mean, I'm sometimes surprised by, by situations where I think people are just not going to understand when I say I'm vegan, or it's going to, I don't know, in other cultures especially, like they just might not understand. But I've had some surprising situations. So I was in Romania last year, and I stayed in this hostel in a communist tower block just outside of the capital, and it was this tiny hostel. There were only like 2 or 3 rooms. And when I got there, the owner who lived in the hostel, it was just like his apartment basically. He was like, "Oh, guess what? As part of it, you get a free breakfast. So do you want your eggs scrambled, or do you want them sunny side up?" And I was like, "Well, neither." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm vegan, so I don't eat eggs." And he was like, "Oh, okay. So vegan, like you don't eat eggs, do you eat dairy?" And I was like, no dairy. And he was like, "Okay, well that's fine. I'll make you what I normally have for breakfast then." And he explained to me that he's experimenting with he's interested in veganism, but he's experimenting with being vegan every other day because he's not really sure. I guess he wasn't sure if it's possible in Romania, but he's thinking more and more about it. We had a really good conversation about it, actually. And he made me this lovely breakfast of toast with halva and apple jam and a nut and seed mix on top.
That sounds better than scrambled.
I know. I was like, "Oh, I'm lucky. Look at my lovely breakfast."
And that's another thing, like going to like hotels and they offer their free breakfast buffets. It's like half the time I don't even take the effort to go down and see what they have. It's like, I know that they're not going to have anything.
Yeah, usually not.
I usually just get the shitty tea or shitty coffee.
Yeah. Stick with orange juice again.
No, but like reading through it and reading through like the different scenarios about like Airbnb and like Couchsurfing, things like that, it really makes me want to open up my own place just so that there's more available.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that yourself? Like open up your own, place for travels?
I've never had a big enough place to really do it. So I've never had a spare room. I have gone on, so on Couchsurfing, there's an option to, instead of having a couch or a bed available, you can say that you're available for coffee, to meet travelers and to show them around, give them advice. I have done that before, and I have actually had vegans contact me through that and say, "Oh, do you have any advice? Any restaurants you'd recommend or anything?" But I haven't hosted anyone in my house. Yeah, I've never really had enough space.
I just always get so nervous about, but I mean, I've been in plenty of situations where, this is obviously pre Airbnb and like Couchsurfing and stuff, where I needed places to stay and traveling. And it's just like, we would call up animal rights organizations and be, "Hey, we're in town. We need a place to stay." And they're like, "Yeah, cool." And they've always been totally cool about it. And, I'd be the same way if somebody called, "Hey, I'm in town for driving through, going to a protest in another state, need a place to stay." I'd be like, "Yeah, of course." So I'm totally open to it. I really should just do it.
There's a site, a new site called Veg Visits that's sort of like Airbnb for vegetarians and vegans.
It's called the Veg Visits. I'm writing this down
Veg Visits. Mm-hmm.
because that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a great idea, I think. And you can put additional stuff on there. So if you can say like what sort of equipment you have in your kitchen, if you have a blender or a juicer or food processor.
That really sounds amazing. I thought an amazing, great resource.
Mm-hmm.
I
think it's such a great idea. Yeah.
You included like the top places to visit, like as a vegan traveler. How did you narrow those down?
It was hard. So a lot of them I've been to, and some of them I've just heard a lot of buzz about from other vegans. So I tried to include a mix of ones in the US and Europe and Asia. So I tried to make sure that it wasn't too weighted towards one place. I mean, I've had people say like, "Oh, but LA isn't in there," so maybe it will be next year.
Out of those places, what is your favorite place that you've been?
Gosh. Well, I'd have to say either Berlin or Taiwan. I was in Berlin at the end of October, and it's just amazing for vegans. I'd always heard that it was good for vegans, but I got there and it's just vegan food everywhere. We ate in all vegan restaurants the whole time we were there. There are, I think, like 43 completely vegan restaurants. There's a vegan creperie, a vegan French bakery, vegan cocktail bars, just everything. Oh, there's a vegan doner kebab place. Just everything vegan. So that was pretty incredible. And Taipei, I also really enjoyed because it's so easy to find vegan food there as well. There's a veggie or vegan restaurant on every block. And I didn't know how easy it was going to be until I got there. And I just realized I was seeing vegan stuff everywhere. And I also felt like people's attitudes towards veganism were a bit different. So I checked into the hostel I was staying at, and they said, "Oh, we'll give you a restaurant recommendation. You should try this place just down the street. They have really great, beef stew or something." And I was like, "No, I'm vegan." And they went, "Oh, well, we'll recommend our favorite vegan restaurant to you. It's just across the street over there." And their reaction was so different to what I'm used to. They didn't say like, "Oh, but how do you get your protein? Oh, that must be so hard. Oh, how did you give up cheese?" They were just like, "Oh, you're vegan. That's great."
And is that was it Taiwan that you were saying that you can like get like fine dining for super cheap?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I went to this restaurant called Yushanga, and had a 9-course meal for around $30.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Apparently a lot of celebrities dine there. It's just that compared to everything is a lot cheaper there. So, you could get like a normal meal for $1. So $30 is actually quite a lot to pay for a meal.
Yeah.
In comparison. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I don't even know 9 meal like dishes to pair together.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. It was a surreal experience. Like I sat down, they took me to this. They had the restaurant sort of subdivided into tiny rooms. They took me to a room that just had like 4 other tables, and I had my own waiter, and he brought me a bowl of water with rose petals in it to wash my hands before I ate.
Holy crap! Wow.
I was just like, what is going on?
Do I drink this?
Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, no, wait, no, it's for my hands. Okay.
I did notice that Utah wasn't on there, and I was concerned.
Do you disagree? Should it have been?
Probably not an international guide,
Yeah.
but a stateside guide probably. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually surprising. We have a French bakery
Really?
as well as 2 vegan bakeries. And the vegan French
wow.
bakery, the French bakery is vegan as well, I should say.
Yeah.
And then a lot of vegan restaurants.
Yeah, I don't know the total count, but there's quite a few.
All vegan Vietnamese restaurant and sandwich shop.
Oh, well, I haven't been, in Salt Lake City specifically, or in...
Yeah, in Salt
Oh,
Lake
yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Outside of Salt Lake, it's a shithole for being vegan, I should say.
And other reasons.
Yeah.
But we talked about your favorite places. What were some of your least favorite places to travel to?
In terms of veganism, or just in general?
A little bit of both.
Well, actually, for both, I would say Panama.
Mm-hmm.
I just had a really bad time there. I don't know if it was just... I've spoken to other people who have been there and they really enjoyed it. I think it was just where I ended up staying was in a very bad neighborhood, which I didn't realize because in the reviews no one had mentioned that. And I got there and checked in and said, how do I get downtown? And they were like, oh, just don't take a taxi because it's not really a good idea. And I was like, why is it not a good idea? And they're like, well, they might rob you or beat you up or something.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, so I won't be taking a taxi. How else can I get there? And they're like, oh, well, it's not too far of a walk. You can walk, but just when you just go down this street, and when the street divides in two, there's a sort of a Y, and make sure you go left. Whatever you do, don't go right.
Yeah, that doesn't sound too pleasant.
So I was like, okay, well, what will happen exactly if I, get confused and go right? And they're like, oh, no, you don't want to go right. You'll end up in a neighborhood that's run by a drug cartel, and there are a lot of shootings all the time.
So did you actually go on that walk?
No, I didn't, surprisingly.
Did you and ever get downtown?
No, I wasn't there for that long. I was only there for a few days, and I just ended up sticking around that area because I didn't want to venture down that road. And there wasn't much in the area, so I ended up going to this supermarket. I actually had quite a good selection of vegan products. They were really, really expensive because they were all imported, but they had Amy's. And some other stuff. Wow. Yeah. Because I guess it was kind of like an expat neighborhood, and there were a lot of Americans living around there. So they had a lot of imported American products, which was great. But yeah, I just got stuff like that and took it back and ate it in my room.
So how do you decide where you're gonna travel to?
Normally, what people have recommended, places people have told me about. I ended up going to Romania because a friend who's Romanian and vegan told me, oh, did you know that if you go to Romania during Lent, there's vegan food everywhere? And I was like, no, I had no idea. And she told me that during Lent, a lot of people go vegan, and they have special menus in most of the restaurants, and even in bakeries, they have vegan menus. Which was, it was really cool.
Sense. It does make sense.
So yeah, I take people's recommendations normally. I once chose where I was going to go by drawing a location out of a hat, but that was a more unusual trip.
Did it work out well?
It did, yeah. Well, I couldn't decide where I was going to go. And so I had a bunch of friends each write down a suggested place and put it into a hat. And then I said, I'm going to draw one out of the hat and go there. And I drew Riga, Latvia, out of a hat. And I was like, oh, what's that like? Who put it in there? And my friend was like, oh, I put it in there. And I was like, oh, what's it like? And he was like, oh, I've never been. I just thought of it.
I just thought it sounded nice.
Yeah. But it's actually it's a really beautiful city. I really, really enjoyed it. And it was a great trip. And I discovered one vegan restaurant. I think there are more now, but at the time there was only one vegan place. It was a raw vegan place, and there was another place that I'd read about, but it was never open when I went there, so I just kept going back to the same vegan place. But it was really good food, so I didn't mind. I just went there for every dinner.
Nice.
Got to know them. Got to know their menu.
Yeah, I've done that as well. Whether it be like what's that major chain that's Master Haiching or Loving Hut? Oh, Loving Hut.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
There's where that's been the only option, and so that's the only option that you went to every day.
I have never actually been to a Loving Hut.
Really?
I've kind of always purposely avoided.
Why? Are you scared?
No.
I mean, it's a little culty.
A little bit, yeah. But the TV is really amusing.
Yeah, it is.
Thanks for putting a delicacy for me, Jordan. Yeah, that's exactly right. I don't know. I've never been in a situation where that was the only option. To be fair, but I've always just been like, I don't know. Like they have to hang a picture on the wall. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. It's the TV though. That's the best part.
What is playing on the TV?
Their television station.
Oh, they have their own television?
They have their own TV station. I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really weird TV.
Yeah. A lot of celebrities popping up that probably aren't vegan anymore that are saying vegan things and stuff like that. Yeah, I think they actually stopped the TV station.
Oh no, that's the best part of going to a Loving Hut.
That's the best part. It really is amusing. But I think a lot of places just do like replays and stuff. But it was like a 24/7 TV station.
That is insane. Mm. Have you ever been to a place that just gets amazing reviews and you go there and you're like, why the fuck does everyone like this?
Can't think of one, but I'm sure I must have.
Anything that just doesn't live up to the expectations?
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I don't know. I tend to read like a lot of different reviews to get different ideas from different sources to make sure that it's not just, Have you had any disappointing experiences?
Yes. One that always comes right to mind, and it's only because of my proximity to where I live to other restaurants that are similar, which is Native Foods. They're okay, but every time I've gone...
Oh, yeah, I know. Do they have lots of different ones?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think I've been to one. I was a bit disappointed too.
Yeah, and I mean, they're okay, and, I'll still go there, but I've had way better, and I have way better locally, so...
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is it's really good for people who never experience, like, that kind of...
Like,
dining.
that kind of vegan food, yeah.
But it is, it's a little... earthy.
Well, we've even had guests tell us that they've been there before, and the servers will stop them and be like, wait, how long have you been vegan? Because if you eat this and you aren't like a long time vegan, you'll think it's shit.
Oh.
If you're not vegan, try this.
Try this, yeah.
Well, at least they know which things to recommend people.
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever gone to a place and participated like in their local animal rights activism, or gotten more involved? Because you said like you go to like potlucks and meetups and things like that, but have you ever gotten more involved in the local activist scenes?
I haven't really, but as part of my book launch. I did a blog tour of different. So I had a bunch of different bloggers write about like guides to different countries and cities, and someone wrote so a blogger called Bounding Over Our Steps, they wrote a really great guide to Ireland. I don't know if you've ever seen their site, but they included all this stuff about how to get involved in local activism. So they had lots of they had recommendations of different restaurants and places they went to, and a little bit about some volunteering they did, and then some information about the local activist scene as well. And I thought it was really great because it's not something I've done when I was traveling, but I hadn't even really thought about doing something like that. But they I think they hadn't really had a chance to get involved in too much into it, but they sort of connected with people. But I guess when you're not there for very long, it's hard to get very involved. But they did do they connected with people, and they did some volunteering in sanctuaries as well.
So have you ever met some really amazing people that just stood out from others?
I mean, I've met some really great people in my travels. I think probably the one, it's not so much because of that, but the most unusual experience I've had meeting another vegan on my travels was just because it was such a coincidence. I was in Korea and I was looking for somewhere to buy cake. Where could I buy vegan cake? You know, I like cake. So I Googled something like vegan cake in Seoul, and I came across this blog where she was talking about this one coffee shop that had vegan cakes and different, like they had vegan different plant-based milks and stuff that you could get as well. So I decided to go there. I went there, ordered a cake and a soya pumpkin latte, sat down, and this girl came over and she was like, it's a weird question, but you don't happen to be a reader of my blog, do you? And I was like, well, I just looked at it. And we ended up spending the afternoon together, and then a couple of days later she took me to this festival as well. And it was a really weird situation, but it was really cool meeting someone like that.
Well, yeah. What festival did she end up taking you to?
So it was a local lantern festival where they'd built huge paper lanterns, but like larger, like light, like taller than me, in all different shapes, and they had like a Statue of Liberty paper lantern and a sumo wrestler paper lantern, and just all kinds of things, an Eiffel Tower paper lantern, it was really fun, and it was something that I wouldn't have gone to, I wouldn't have even known existed if I hadn't met this local who was able to take me around.
So is that, like, were there other cool things that you've seen that aren't vegan related on your travels? Like, what would be the coolest thing?
That's a good question.
You've been to a lot of places. I know it's a tough
so
question.
many things.
The coolest for me, I just saw the other day on a road trip. I saw a bald eagle come down and catch a crow mid-flight.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was pretty intense.
Wow. I saw gosh, what was the best thing I've seen? I'll try to think of somewhere I've been recently. Romania is just beautiful, and I didn't really know what to expect because I didn't know that much about Romania. I ended up in this ancient medieval walled city walking around the fortress walls, and I think I was the only foreigner there. I was the only tourist, and it was just really, really surreal. It was like being in a film about medieval times, but in real life.
Wow.
It was pretty cool.
What I always find that I'm always super jealous about is that most of the history that we have here, European colonization wiped out like the native history. So there's not like a ton of like long history, you know, in this continent. When you go, you know, to Asia or Europe, they have just such a massive amount of history. I know South America has a lot that we don't have, but up in Northern America, the colonization kind of fucked everything over and ruined everything.
Yeah.
It's just...
It is sad, yeah.
And I think it's just intense to realize like that some of those things, like these buildings are so old. Like,
yeah, it's weird to like be leaning on a building and then realize that you're leaning on some bricks that are 1,000 years old, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I always feel super insignificant at that point because I'm like, well, in another 1,000 years, no one will remember who the fuck I am, and yeah.
It's true.
You don't think people will be listening to recordings of the podcast that they found 1,000 years from now?
They're like, this is so retro.
If someone is listening to this in 1,000 years from now, what the fuck is your problem? Like, there must be so much better content to listen to by that point.
No, you never know. Maybe. Well, I can't believe it's almost been an hour. What are some ways that people can get in touch with you and read and find out more about your book?
So the book is available on Amazon as paperback or Kindle. So they just look up the Essential Vegan Travel Guide. They'll find it, or they can check out my blog, which is theveganword.com. And I've got information about the book. I've got travel guides to different cities as well on there, and recipes that aren't in a coffee maker. So normal food recipes.
I love the idea of cooking couscous out of a coffee maker, though. I never even dreamed of it.
That's going to be something I do a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to do it at home just to do it.
Just to impress people. Dinner party trick. Maybe.
Yeah.
I made this whole meal in my coffee maker.
It's a challenge. I'm up for this challenge. We end every episode saying "fuck, shit, damn." Would you mind saying it for us this week?
All right. Fuck, shit, damn.
This week you heard
Another Day by the album Leaf.
Right now you're listening to
Gettysburg by Ratatat.
I would love to read you an iTunes review, but sadly, no one got off their lazy ass and gave us one. So please, consider it. If you got this far into it, help out a little bit. Give us an iTunes review.
Somebody actually responded to somebody else's iTunes review the other day.
Yeah, and we're actually going to get a guest on because of it.
So, thank you for writing an iTunes review, and thank you for responding to that person's iTunes review and helping us out.
Fuck yeah.
If you're not our friend yet, you should be our friend. We're on social medias. So, click the Google button and be our friend.
The Google button?
Yeah. That's how you access the internet, right?
The Google portal. Oh god, that reminds me of the AOL portals.
The keyword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to Google and type in keyword Which Side Podcast.
Go to AOL, type in keyword Which Side Podcast. What's sad is that there still is AOL, but yeah, that should count.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Is this it?
Yeah.
Okay, fuck shit damn.
Fuck shit damn.
Which Side Podcast is hosted and produced by Jordan Halliday and Jeremy Parkin of the Which Side Media Collective, with web design by Jordan Halliday and sound design by Jeremy Parkin. Booking by Mari Halliday. Theme music by Commandantes. Go to whichsidecollective.org to check out the other shows in the collective. As always, fuck shit damn.